It took DJ a second to figure out where the gunfire was coming from. It echoed through street and alley, making it difficult at first. It was coming from above, he determined, from the same rooftop under which DJ and the tactical team had been hiding. But as he looked up to the roofline 4 stories over his head, he did not see FBI snipers hanging their rifles over the edge and firing down at the enemy. Whatever was going on up there had nothing to do with what was going on down here. And then it stopped. The men he was with all glanced at one another. DJ stole a look at the armored car at the end of the alley. It still sat there, diesel engine idling along, issuing a thin cloud of black smoke from its aging motor. He looked back to the rooftop and was finally rewarded with someone stepping close to the edge, and then another, and yet another, and lastly 2 more. He had thought there were only a few men up there, not 5. The sun hit the figures hard from behind, casting them in a stark silhouette against the New Jersey sky. One waved down at them, as if to let DJ and the others know that all was well. Wait, DJ thought. He's not waving at us. Then all 5 silhouetted men brought rifles to their shoulders and aimed down. Not at the armored car, but at DJ and the tactical team. The FBI team waiting on the roof was now dead, DJ knew. If he didn't do something about it right now, they all would be. For it was not the armored car that was sitting in a kill box. It was DJ and his FBI teammates. Time seemingly slowed down for DJ in moments like this. The reality was that he became hyper-focused. He could see things and process events with such clarity that seconds seemed like minutes. This was his element. These were the times that he seemed born for. In truth, he wasn't always like this. It was his tragic past that had conditioned him to be like he was. It was his past and all that he had been through that made him so proficiently equipped when confronted with desperate situations. And this situation was desperate. From 4 floors below his enemy, he saw the darkened figures jerk their weapons to their shoulders. But even though the others above had the jump on him, and even though his enemy-held rifles meant for longer-ranged engagements, DJ was quicker and more precise. It was he who fired the first shot. It was he who killed the first enemy. Mitch, his beloved Sig Sauer, lifted as if it had a mind of its own. His enemy was so far away that the front sight post almost completely blocked his target from view. But DJ knew his weapon and was comfortable in his own extreme abilities. Mitch recoiled twice in his hands. The front sight post jumped in his vision, and the first enemy was struck. The darkened form staggered, then teetered and fell over the edge to break upon the concrete sidewalk below. Mitch had a magazine holding 21 rounds. 1 down. 19 rounds left. 2 spare mags at his waist. Even before the body struck the ground, DJ was rotating towards his next target. The ambusher was now set and ready, however, and the man fired a volley of bullets, all aimed directly at the agent who had just killed his friend. He was aiming at DJ. Because of distance, the angle, and the lack of skill required, the 3-round burst almost missed entirely. The second and third rounds flew harmlessly to one side, slapping the side of the SUV he stood against. It was the first round that connected, however. It landed a shattering blow to the upper left of DJ's chest, connecting with the bulletproof vest with enough impact that it spun him around and into the side of the SUV. As DJ tried to recover, he heard more gunfire. This time, it was from the suppressed M4 rifles of the TAC team standing with him. The men he was with were now opening up on the rooftop, driving their attackers backwards. Not before one of their own fell, however. DJ twisted back around to draw aim again, and saw the TAC team member dead on the asphalt, the back of his head showing a massive exit wound from the enemy fire. DJ looked for a target, but the enemy above had stepped back from the edge and away from the onslaught below. He and the TAC team paused, waiting for the enemy to present itself again. DJ jerked his head around to look for the armored car. He was imagining the thing racing for them now, intending to run into them from behind. But it still sat there. 2 figures barely visible through the thick bulletproof glass. It was waiting patiently, the men inside enjoying the show, confident that they were safe from harm. DJ wondered where Cash and the other team were. He knew them to be back behind him in the building that made up the left side of the alley wall. The armored truck and the other FBI team members were separated from each other by a giant rolling door. All Cash had to do was send those men through to render support. But why hadn't they? They should right now be bombarding that truck with everything they had, hoping to at least shut the motor down by shooting into the unprotected side of the engine compartment. As if to answer his silent questions, gunfire erupted from inside the building behind him. Cash and the others were now engaged, but not with the armored car. They were in a shootout inside the building. The enemy was all around them now, DJ realized. Somehow these men had been waiting for them in a larger circle as they let the FBI set up their ambush. They were now closing in. DJ and the others were probably under assault from an enemy that had entered the building from the opposite side. DJ and his team would get no assistance from them. In fact, they were probably hoping that DJ and his group would come to their aid. As DJ considered this, a hint of movement caught his eye from back across the street. This time not from the rooftops. This time it came from the still open doorway of the building they had just come from. A figure was emerging from the shadows, and DJ wasted no time in trying to determine if they were friend or foe. The rooftop had been occupied by their own snipers, but they were dead. There were no friendlies coming back out of that building. The enemy had been hiding in the same building, right under their noses, probably on the floors above them in one of the locked rooms they had encountered. DJ sent a projectile right where he figured a man's head would be, and it connected. But the figure did not slow. Emerging into the street and the light of day, leading a procession of hulking men behind him, a man moved forward, toting a bullet-deflecting composite shield with a protective window positioned at the top. It was the same type of shield one of their own SWAT teams might use to advance toward an enemy in an urban combat situation. The shield would protect the bearer and those that followed along behind. The small porthole window at the top would allow the user carrying it to see where to go and where to position the shield. DJ suddenly realized they were in over their heads. These people were prepared. "Fall back!" DJ shouted. Gone was the throbbing pain in his chest from the gunshot to his vest. Here was a sudden need to place the armored-up SUV between him and the advancing line of soldiers. They were in trouble. They were in real trouble.